Yeah, we are going to celebrate the birth anniversary of Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar, 129th birth anniversary. His birth anniversary is celebrated all over the country, and also it is celebrated internationally in several countries in the world, USA, UK, Australia, New Zealand, Germany. There are many countries where Ambedkar International Mission has their unit. The Ambedkar birth anniversary is celebrated. Well, there are reasons as to why this Babasaheb Ambedkar is so popular, so people have love and faith in him, confidence in him, and they celebrate as a gratitude. They express their gratitude towards the contribution that he has made for the country as well as for the marginalized section. I would like to highlight some of his contribution and also present before you some of his views which are very necessary in the context of the changing situation in India. I think one has to recognize that he has made a tremendous contribution in building of India as a nation. He was a nation builder. He wanted to rebuild the nation, reconstruct the nation in a way. If you go into the history, you will realize what I am saying, that what India is today as a sovereign republic, democratic, secular and socialist state nation, it is because it is mentioned in the constitution, and constitution has objective of promoting liberty, equality, fraternity and justice, social, economic and politics. So, this is what India constitutes through the constitution. But the process of constitution making began in 1920 and ended in 1950. India became republic in 1950. Now, Dr. Ambedkar, who appeared on the political scene in 1920 and worked up to 1950, he was at the end chairman of the drafting committee. He was popularly called as a father of the Indian constitution. But Dr. Ambedkar participated in the constitutional reform from 1920 onward. In 1930, the British Constitution 1935 Act was enacted, and ultimately the constitution was made. So, Dr. Ambedkar has played an important role right from the beginning till the end in framing the constitution. And whatever the proceedings of the Constituent Assembly were there, whatever the major challenging issues were there as far as the nation was concerned, he, being the chairman of the drafting committee, was instrumental in sorting out those issues intellectually because of his knowledge in the constitutional theory and jurisprudence. So, that is recognized that what the India as a nation, which is the way defined in the constitution, Ambedkar has contributed quite a lot. But what is important is that all those events and all those issues which occurred during 1920 and 1950, during the period of 30 years, Dr. Ambedkar has written and contributed. And these are all national issues. For example, in 1953 issue of state reorganization came, he wrote a book, Reorganization of the Thoughts on Linguistic State, and he made a recommendation which was different from the reorganization of the state. He favored two states of one language, while the Reorganization Commission favored one language, one state. And then the issue of minorities came, so he wrote a book, Thoughts on Pakistan, how nations are formed, what is nationalism. It's a classical work on the issue of nation and nationalism and how the nations are formed. He also gave a solution how to deal with the problem of minorities in the democracy in a communal deadlock and way to solve it. He wrote on federalism and was a major issue, continued to be today. He wrote on that. He wrote on the question of the woman, rise and fall of the Hindu woman. He wrote an article, and later on as a law minister passed the Hindu Code Bill, the law related to women giving their right. The problem of economic development was there, but he was an economist. He was MA, PhD from Columbia University and DSc from London School of Economics, Bharat Law from London. So, he contributed in the development of economic plan in 1940 and 46. He was the founder of the water and irrigation and power policy in India as a labor minister. He was also founder of the labor policy as a labor minister in 1946. All that we have with regard to labor, bulk of it is what was by Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar. So these are all issues of national importance, and he is a man who responded to all these issues. He did not confine to cause of Dalit. Cause of Dalit and untouchables and marginalized section was of course to his heart, and he spent all his life, political and social life, for uplifting this the marginalized section. He got policies for them, what is called reservation policy. He got legal safeguard through the enactment of Untouchability Offence Act and later on the Atrocity Acts. So all that what Dalit are today, it's because of him. So his contribution for the upliftment of the marginalized section is of course there, and everybody has written. But his contribution to the nation building is of amazing type, and that should be recognized. Therefore, he has been was rewarded Bharat Ratna or greatest man of India for right reason. This show that he was a sterling nationalist of a sterling quality. Unless you love your country, unless you are concerned about the issues of your country, you won't sit down and write and spend months together write a book. So I think this contribution of Dr. Ambedkar as a nation builder must be understood. But there is other thing that I would like to say at the end, and that is that what he has proposed based on his scholarship and study is different from what has been finally accepted by the government in the Constitution Assembly or in many other ways. So there is a difference, because his views were based on research and the study, while the government accepted some of this his solution based on the political situation available at that point of time. And therefore, by not accepting his solution on several issues, important issues, we see that we continue to face those problems. I will only highlight two, not many of them. In fact, state reorganization, the proposal he has proposed, the state are being reorganized now one after another based on his recommendation. But the 2 points that I want to mention is about democracy. We accepted parliamentary democracy, he was a part of it, but his concept of parliamentary democracy or his concept of economic structure, social and political structure was certainly different than what is accepted by the Indian Constitution. We accepted Indian Constitution. So he made an accommodation as a chairman of the drafting committee, not individually, but he has to go by the majority view, which at that point of time was Congress. But he expressed his view quite independently in a book called State and Minority. Now, on democracy, he clearly mentioned that unless you have social and economic democracy underneath the political democracy won't be successful. It will work in the formal sense, but not in real sense of the term. And therefore, he emphasized on equality, economic equality, and therefore he suggested that a economic which is characterized by immense economic inequality, the democracy, political democracy will have a hard time. Individual people will lose their fundamental right. They won't have a liberty to enjoy liberty and fundamental right. Therefore, he suggested a state socialism, under which he proposed nationalization of land and cultivation, giving land to everybody and cultivating it. Then, so you by one stroke you remove the inequality. He wanted key and basic industries into the government sector, then the education, health and insurance with the government sector. So he thinks that if you have this kind of a modified form of a socialism, will promote economic equality, and that will help the political democracy to work better. Similarly, the discrimination on caste, huge discrimination. So he proposed a policy of reservation to have a fair access to the Dalit. So social and economic equality, in his view, was a precondition for the success of political democracy. So effort should be made towards that direction. In fact, he used a very strong, very interesting word, that the social and political democracy is the fiber and thread of the political democracy, and if the fiber are strong, the political democracy will be strong. But now today we have a crisis, huge economic inequality in India in ownership of wealth and property. Therefore, the political power is taken over by the privileged people and sometimes undesirable element, and the political democracy is indeed is facing a problem. That is one issue. The second issue about the political democracy, parliament democracy, as mentioned, which is very important, which has come true I think he was futuristic. His futuristic predictions have come true. That is, he argued that the parliamentary forms of democracy that we have adopted in India is a British model. But British parliamentary democracy is based on the majority political parties, political party. It is a political democracy in the sense that the majority party win the election on the basis of issues and ideology. They come to the power and majority form the government, take decision through a majority decision. But in India, where the country is characterized by multiple religion, caste and ethnic group, and there the parliamentary democracy is likely to turn into communal democracy. That is, the base of the political parties will be less on policies, but more on religion, caste and ethnicity. So, and there is a difference between political democracy and the communal democracy. Political democracy is temporary. The political party change depending on their performance and their role. But the communal democracy is permanent in his view, because the religious population, caste population, ethnic population is constant. There might be differences, they may get divided, but the real voting base will be the identity of the community. In such a situation, there will be a crisis, and he said that there is a danger to minority from the majority, which we see today. The state is being, to a greater extent, is being governed by, influenced by religious ideology, influenced by caste, and the minorities face a constant threat, both religious and the caste minorities. So, his prediction about the danger to the minority, he used the word menace. The communal majority is a menace to the minority. He made a proposal in communal deadlock and way to solve it, that we should have a balanced representation of minority and majority. He wanted to increase the seat of the minority vis-a-vis the majority. Majority remain majority, but some balance. Then unanimous decision making instead of majority rule, because if the democracy is communal and communal majority take the decision by majority rule, then it is they who take the decision. Therefore, he asked that at least in important cases we should have unanimous rule making, decision making, and the formation of the cabinet and the governance, executive should be with the consent of all the members in the legislature, in the parliament, both opposition as well as the ruling, so that you have the cabinet minister and the minority minister who have faith of the entire house. So, the principle of balanced representation, principle of faith and unanimous decision was proposed by him as a reform of the parliamentary democracy for India, but nobody take notice of it. So, I think, but for failing to take notice of Dr. Ambedkar and not incorporating into democracy and other areas, that has now created the problem. The reason is that his solutions were based on the research, rigorous research, therefore his solutions are long-term solution. And so, therefore, Dr. Ambedkar is still relevant. Whenever we are in crisis, we fall back upon Dr. Ambedkar. We quote him from one source to another source. So, this all contribution of a man is a contribution of a person who is so committed to the nation, who is so committed to the poor. He wanted to build this country on a very strong footing. And I think if we listen to him, if we read his solution, try to apply them in a practice, that will be the great tribute to him on the birth anniversary, and this will make the country more strong, which was his desire. Thank you.